Hello! So today is October 17th, 2023, and I'm just coming on here to give a little Buspirone update. So I've been on 15 milligrams of Buspirone per day for a year. I take 5 milligrams 3 times a day. So I take 5 milligrams at 7 a.m. and then I take 5 milligrams at 2 p.m. Then I take 5 milligrams right before I go to bed around 9:30. So if you haven't watched my other videos on Buspar, the main side effects that I had were only for the first month or two. Insomnia was probably the worst side effect. I had a lot of problems sleeping. I had to take melatonin every day, and I also would take CBD oil if I would wake up in the night. Just so I wasn't taking more melatonin. But honestly, in combination with melatonin and CBD oil, I got through the first couple of months. And after the first couple of months, I actually started experiencing like the best sleep that I've ever had in my entire life. And I still feel like I'm sleeping super well, like the best I've ever slept. Something else that I noticed in the first month was restless leg syndrome. This actually only lasted about a couple of weeks after I started, but it was definitely significant, and I was having like some muscle contraction things, but that went away after the first couple of weeks. The last thing I wanted to note was that I did notice my speech was a little slower after starting the medicine, but I don't think it was anything of concern, but it was something that was definitely notable to me, and I thought that I would share that with you. But like I said, those side effects only lasted for a month or two. I definitely don't experience any side effects now. Like, I feel completely like I did before, just with a lot less anxiety and honestly with a lot clearer outlook on life in general. I do want to talk about how it's helped me. It's mainly helped with my baseline anxiety. I feel like I was just living in fight or flight for my entire life, and starting this medicine, I wasn't living in fight or flight anymore, and it almost felt like an agitation. It is really weird and jarring whenever you take out anxiety from the picture because you're forced to face other emotions that the anxiety has been masking. That's a good and a bad thing. So the only reason why it's a bad thing is that it's jarring at first, and it's like, oh whoa, I have so many other emotions, like not just anxiety. But the good thing and the absolute beautiful thing about it is that you're no longer like living in a state of constant anxiety, and you can learn how to navigate those other emotions. But because it's so new, it's like it can be a really confusing time. At least that this is my experience, and I'm still learning how to navigate my own emotions. I'm still learning like so much about myself. So I think out of all of the things that would cause me anxiety was my social anxiety, just like being around other people just presents differently now. But before, I could only feel just super anxious and like shut down before hanging out with people. And now I don't feel super anxious, but I still do feel that discomfort, and I still do feel the other underlying feelings. So that is something to note if you're thinking about getting on an SSRI or getting on Buspar, because it won't solve all of your problems. It should be looked at as a tool to help you navigate your emotions. The other thing I wanted to mention was I used to have panic attacks at least once a week. When it was at the worst it's ever been, I was having panic attacks about 3 times a week. But since I started Buspar, I've experienced this one time. I know I'm just one person, but I think that those statistics are just incredible. Out of everything, that is like the most notable thing for me, is that I have had one panic attack since starting this medicine a year ago. After having it 3 days a week, or at least once a week, to one time in a year, that's incredible. So that brings me into the next area that I wanted to talk about, was some important things that I've learned about Buspar. I guess some tips and tricks that I've learned about Buspar. So first off, timing matters. It is so important. The way that you metabolize the drug is going to be different than how somebody else metabolizes it. Some people can take it twice a day. I cannot. I'm a rapid metabolizer, so I have to take it 3 times a day. And I can feel it wearing off if I don't take it. For those of you who have wondered what it's like to miss a dose, it's not bad. I just felt like kind of jittery and excited, interestingly. I felt like really excited. Like I wanted to go running or something. But then as soon as I took my dose, like I remembered a few hours later, actually it was like 5 hours later, and I took the dose, and then I felt completely normal. So going along with that, eating is really weird with Buspar. Out of everything, I think this one was the most difficult for me to decipher, was like if I should eat or if I shouldn't eat with Buspar. I was told to eat with Buspar, and so I started off eating with Buspar. It was not good for me. It would make me feel really lightheaded and dizzy every single time I ate with it. And one day I just accidentally like forgot to eat with it, and I noticed I felt so much better. So I stopped eating with it, and I don't eat with it. That's what works best for me. So if you're experiencing some unwanted sensations after taking it, you might want to dabble around with eating versus not eating with the medicine. Be careful with the medications that you have to take outside of Buspar, because there's a lot of interactions with Buspirone, which is so interesting. Like I had like a really bad headache one time, and I was taking acetaminophen because I thought it would be fine. Like I didn't even think it would interact with Buspar, and it does. There's a very strong interaction, and that's actually the time that I had the one panic attack that I mentioned. So definitely before you take any type of medicine or even supplement, just make sure that you check to make sure there's no interactions, because it could cause you to have like a panic attack or unwanted side effects. So the last thing I wanted to mention is switching brands. So I take Buspirone, which is off-label, and Buspar is the main brand. So I don't take Buspar, I take Buspirone. And whenever you take off-label medication and you go to the pharmacy, they will basically just give you the brand that they have in stock. So I actually brought some pills to show you. So I have been taking like this circle, sorry if you can't see it, for like 6 months. And my pharmacy just switched to another brand that looks like this square. They're definitely from different brands, and I looked up the numbers online, and they have all the same like fillers in the medicine, but for some reason my body metabolizes them differently, and I feel different on one brand versus the other brand. It's not that notable once my body gets used to it, but I did notice the couple days of switching from one brand to the other, I felt weird. So the reason why I'm telling you this is to, one, caution you, because I've never like had the heads up. It might not affect you at all, but it can affect people apparently. So those are all the things that I've learned in the past year that I wanted to let you guys know about in case anybody's going through some similar things. I hope that this gives a little bit more insight. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was ADHD stuff. So I think in my last video, I talked about how Buspar was really helping my ADHD. I think that my emotional regulation is so much better than it used to be before I started Buspar. So it's definitely not like a stimulant medication, and I don't think it helps with my focus, and I'm definitely still extremely indecisive. Like my executive functioning is not better because of Buspar. So because of those things, I still do take stimulant medication on top of my Buspar. I take Ritalin right now. I've been taking Ritalin for a little over 7 months, and it's been going really, really well. I have had issues with Adderall in the past, and whenever I started Buspar, I could not take Adderall or any amphetamines with Buspar. I'm not sure why that is because there's not supposed to be interactions, but for me, the Adderall completely stopped working. Ritalin did not work for me in the past, and it was working really well. So that is something I wanted to talk about because if you have ADHD and if you are on ADHD medicine and you're thinking about taking Buspar or any SSRI for that matter, you should really think about your brain as kind of a new brain when you start the serotonin medicines. And you might have to dabble with different ADHD medicines to see what's right for you. I have thought about trying Concerta. I'm in a season of my PhD career where I need to be focusing for very, very long periods of time. But because of that, I've been considering trying Concerta because I do know that methylphenidate works really well with Buspirone for me personally. So that's where I'm heading next with my medication journey is I'm planning on trying Concerta out. Lastly, I wanted to say that I was so anxious about starting an SSRI or like any type of serotonin medicine for my panic attacks and my anxiety. And I'm just so proud of myself for starting and for continuing even after I was experiencing side effects and I was really scared. For me personally, this has been the best thing that I could have done for myself at the time that I did it. My life is just so much better. It's so much more clear. I feel like I'm a lot more deeply connected to life and people around me. Therefore, I just don't really feel the need to get off of Buspar anytime soon. But yeah, I guess that concludes my 1 year update. Super happy with the way things are going. Here's Mia! But thank you guys so much for watching, and we hope that you have a good day.